Hello, welcome to our panel. Yay! Thank you for being here. So you want to make VGM music videos. Yay! So if you don't know, my name is Lacey Johnson. I'm a YouTuber and video game musician, and I professionally sweat on camera. And this is...
Hi, I'm Peter Hardee. I'm a videographer, editor, animator, artist, etc. And yeah, I work with Lacey, and she is my partner.
He creates the things that we do. So everything that I have been able to make and brands I've been able to work with and everything is because of Peter and what we have learned. So just, I am always grateful for you in many ways, but especially professionally. It's wonderful. So
well, and because you're super talented.
Well, that too, but
the
media we make anyway. So the reason we really wanted to do this panel is because we've been going to MAG events and a lot of VGM events for a while, and I think there's never really a kind of get started panel. I see a lot of theoretical kind of things or creative panels, which are great, but I feel like sometimes the hardest thing is just getting started, right? And we started 7 years ago just using my cell phone at the time, and just got into the practice of creating, and that was a really big part of it. So our goal today is to kind of walk you through the needs and nice to haves of filmings, okay? What our process looks like in our gear and everything that we're using, just for transparency. We're gonna make 3 different builds for you on different scales of budgets. So depending on where you're at or what you want to achieve and kind of move toward, we have builds for that. And then tips and tricks we've learned along the way in the 7 years we've been doing this.
And then after that, if anyone wants to ask questions, we'll open up to the floor for a Q&A.
Yeah, which will be cool. So the needs for a visual medium, of course, is a camera device. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to have a DSLR or a film camera. You can literally, like I said, you can start on a cell phone. Cell phones are super good now. Some of them are better than a lot of cameras that you can buy. So cell phone is just fine, but you should know how to use whatever camera device it is and just kind of the ins and outs of how that camera works and formats that it records in.
And yeah, second thing, you need lighting, you know. You don't want to just set up in a room and, like, I don't know, just use your overhead lights, you know. But it doesn't have to be nice lighting. You can just get, like, super cheap stuff off of Amazon. Like, that's how we first started, was just getting, like, one of those, like, photography ones. Or and for a while we used some, like, cheap Amazon soft boxes and some, like, cheap Amazon LED lights. So you really don't need to break the bank and, like, get super nice stuff. You just need to get something.
Yeah. And it's definitely not a situation that I would say, hope for the best. It's like experiment and find out what you like and what the different lights and the placements can look like on camera too, because what something looks like in the room may look very different on camera. A space of some kind. It doesn't matter if it's a bedroom or a studio or on your back porch, which I have done many times. You should have a space that you're thinking about. Keep it tidy, keep it clean looking so that no one's looking at the stuff in your bookshelf in the back. They're looking at you in the video, right? Even if you have a really cool bookcase and collection and stuff that you want to showcase, let that be a dedicated shot. If you are playing or singing in front of a setup, make sure that it's really nice and concise and nothing sticks out and takes the attention away from you as the subject.
And yeah, you need a tripod of some kind. It doesn't really matter. Like, you know, like say you're filming on a phone, they sell like super affordable cell phone tripods. Just something where you can set up a shot, see how it looks. It can be helpful, like if you're just filming yourself, to get some kind of remote timer, or even just like what sometimes I do and stuff is just like hit record, go sand where you're going to sand, and then like go back to the camera, check it out, see how it looks, and then adjust and proceed. But yeah, something to hold it. Don't be propping it up with books and stuff. Like, get something.
Don't do that. Things will fall down.
Yeah.
It will be sad. Don't do that. The next thing is some sort of editing software. There's a lot of free alternatives, and especially depending on the platform you're shooting for. We primarily shoot for YouTube with kind of social media as afterthoughts, but still intentional content for those things. CapCut's a really great free software on phones. DaVinci is free. DaVinci Resolve's a super powerful program. I know you know a lot more free programs too, but those are the two that immediately come to my mind.
Yeah, those are the two I can think of off
Yeah.
the top of my head.
Yeah, but some form of software, YouTube tutorials are super accessible. A lot of software I've learned because of YouTube, just watching someone else walk through it, kind of how to edit something. Don't need to know a ton, just to have some basic form of timeline editing is a really great thing.
And then, yeah, you need a speaker of some kind. It can even just be like your laptop speakers or TV speakers, just something where you can play back whatever the music is that you're performing to, and that will make things a lot easier for like syncing purposes and things like that when you go about editing.
And then sandbags.
Sandbags are great, especially if you get cheap lights off of Amazon. Their stands are like super wobbly.
They fall down a lot.
You're gonna kick them over.
It hurts.
Just buy some sandbags and save yourself some broken lights and hurt toes and things.
And head. They fall
And
on my
heads,
head.
yes.
That's great. It's really cool. So, yeah. Literal sandbags from Home Depot, just like go for it.
Just so like you have a lighting stand or even like a stand like that, you plop a sandbag on it, it's a lot less likely to tip over.
We know from experience, get sandbags, really. Cool. And then there's the nice to have. So if you want to invest, if there's money that you really want to throw at something, these are some of our lists of things that are really nice to have.
Yeah. So like you could upgrade, get a nicer camera like a DSLR or film camera. Once again, it's not necessary, but it's definitely nice to have, especially if you want to get like nice like shallow depth of field and stuff like that. Like a DSLR or film camera will let you do that. With a lens, it's pretty hard to do. Like there's artificial ways to do it on a phone camera, but with a film camera you can get that like nicer, more cinematic look.
Yeah. You can kind of set it and forget it. Whereas like with cinema mode on an iPhone, you have to kind of do a lot of work ahead of time. And then if you happen to change where you are in your physical space, it can get off and the focus can shift. So knowing how to use a camera is a super huge asset and gives you a lot more control. And autofocus is great. Love autofocus.
Yeah.
An editing rig. So this is kind of talking about like building an editing PC, multiple graphics cards, investing in a computer that costs as much as my car. Things that, the stuff that's like, it's nice, it expedites the process. It's not super necessary, but if you have big dreams of incorporating visual effects or tons of footage or really high resolution footage, you do want to think about having a computer that can handle that kind of load on it.
And yeah, so I kind of already mentioned it before, but yeah, having dedicated lenses and stuff can get you that nice shallow depth of field, as well as like filters. Like ND filters are great for if you're filming outside. That way it will like darken the image, but you can still have the aperture wide open and still getting that like shallow depth of field, as well as there are things like pro mist filters and other kind of like beauty filters. Like we have I believe it's like a pro mist filter that we put on it.
It's a pearlescent filter.
It's a pearlescent filter, yeah, which is very similar to a pro mist filter. And it kind of, in this day of 4K and stuff, you can kind of like see all the
everything
like, blemishes and pores and everything, and so
it
kind of like smooths out the image a little bit, as well as it'll give like a nice bloom to like if you have lights on camera and stuff.
That was one of those items that I didn't even know existed until we saw a streamer going through her cam setup that she had, and I remember, and literally it just screws on the front of the lens. So it's a physical, just tiny little piece of glass that screws onto the front of the lens. And it's such a, like, if you're just looking at it, you would not know. But seeing it with and without, it's wild. And I swear it really only focuses on skin and lights. So it's cool. It's something I highly recommend. I think I had to wait a couple months to get it.
Yeah, it was like on back order.
It was on back
bought
order.
The same exact one that she had.
Yeah, but it's great. It was cool. That was a weird, I had no idea this existed and I couldn't go on without it. I love the way it looks. So pearlescent filters are very cool. High-end lighting, of course, with everything. There's super nice lighting that is really good at diffusing and just kind of makes a space look really even. There are more affordable lights that do this too, but I would say overall, just in our experience, kind of like we use a lot of Amaran and Aperture in our setup, but I've found personally that they definitely have lights that are very nice on camera, don't look harsh. You can control the temperature, you can control the hue a lot of the time too, and then the diffusion on the softbox. So how much it actually puts out is just really flattering most of the time. Actually, all the time. I'll give it props all the time, all the time. But yeah, there's a lot of high-end lighting out there that sometimes they're really big, sometimes they're real little guys, but they can definitely do a lot.
And then yeah, gimbals and sliders are nice to have. Really don't need them at all unless like you like to do more like on the go, like moving shots, add a little bit of movement and interest to your shots. You know, like a gimbal would be if you have like a camera operator or someone like that. A slider you could use by yourself. They have like a lot of automated sliders now and that kind of thing. So yeah, just a nice to have. Could add some more interest to your shots, but definitely not necessary.
Yeah. And then something we integrated a couple of years ago was photo paper. So it doesn't have to be really expensive stuff, but having a really nice solid color photo background that we shoot against. We shoot in his garage. So we're literally in the garage with our photo paper roll hanging from the ceiling. And it's just, it looks really even. It's a nice black background. We have black, white, and green for green screen. And they're huge. What are our 12 foot? No, 9 foot?
No, 9 foot.
9 foot roll. So it's a 9 foot roll, and we just keep it up there tethered to the ceiling. But it looks really clean. And there's so many different options now, which is cool. I really want to get a fun color someday, like orange or something neat like that.
And if you're like a singer and you don't have an instrument or something like that, you could go with more of like a 6 foot roll situation. Or if your instrument's smaller, the keytar that she plays is super huge, so that's why we had to go with the 9 foot, just so that it would like fit within the shot.
He yells at me every time.
Yeah. I want the 12 foot. That'd be even better.
Well, and I wear it so low too, so like the frame is extra challenging.
Yeah,
it's not like I could even be close and have it be up high. Nah, I gotta play it down here.
Gotta wear it like you're in a punk band or something like that.
I do, I know. Got it.
Next,
you take the next two.
Yeah, the next thing is C-stands. This may sound silly and stuff, but they're just metal stands for holding lights and other equipment, things like that. Like I said before, the cheap lights you get off of Amazon, their stands are awful and will tip over. So it's nice to get some C-stands that are metal sturdy and they're heavy duty. You can like raise a light up like, you know, like 15, 20 feet or something with a C-stand. So yeah. Not a big pressing thing, but something you like to have. Oh, and I skipped over B-cam. Yeah, it's nice to have a B-cam just for a second.
I was going to say, you did that on purpose because I've been wanting another B-cam and it's just been blazing down that list. We used to have one.
Well, I was borrowing it from my work.
Yeah. It was great.
But it is nice to have a second camera.
Yeah, saves a lot of time.
Just so you can, you know, get two different shots from like the same take.
Yeah.
Definitely not necessary to have, but if you do get like a B-cam, make sure that it's similar and like a same kind of like color profile, so you don't have like a nightmare when like color correcting them. Like that can get bad.
It happens. It happens. It's fun. Camera monitor. This is a very optional thing, and there's a lot of workarounds to this, but a way, especially if you're filming yourself, having some way to kind of monitor what you're doing, just to set up your frame. I don't like to watch myself in the camera. Actually, it's a little distracting because then I kind of like do this thing and my head is just locked in on the frame. But so I don't like to do it. But when we're setting up, I like to just double check that I like the look of it, that the composition feels good, and that I'm like happy with it. And then I could just flip it back and chill. But you can even plug in a computer monitor. A lot of cameras now have an HDMI output to them. You can do doubling on some apps too, right? That's a thing that exists now.
Yeah.
So you can literally stream kind of at the same time with some cameras to a phone or an iPad or whatever, and you can double check yourself that way. There's a lot of workarounds, but camera monitors, I'd say, are really great for composition of shots. And then if you have someone who's monitoring your filming, then for them to just double check everything's in focus and everything looks good. But it's a very much a nice to have. I don't use it most of the time in the active filming.
Yeah, and some of them are powerful, and they can load in LUTs, which are like basically like
Color filters.
color
kinda.
like presets as far as like color correction, things like that go. So if you know there's like a certain like look that you like, you can like load that into a monitor, and
Yeah.
then that way you can have a preview of how it might look in like the final edit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the next two
Mm-hmm.
kind of go hand in hand, green screen and VFX. It's nice to have a green screen, especially like if you're into VFX and
Or if you don't have a space you want to showcase as well.
Exactly. You don't
Yeah.
have a space you want to showcase,
Mhm.
or if you're working with a collaborator, there's all sorts of uses to have a green screen. And then VFX software of some kind can be helpful if you want to do those fun kind of effects, whether it's like After Effects is kind of like the one that I use the most, but there's all sorts of things. There's like Unreal Engine now,
Mhm.
if you're going more of the 3D route, which is free to download and play around with, and then you can have a little bit of a headache navigating it, unless unless your brain is suited for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then last on the list is atmosphere. So we recently got a fog machine. And it's spooky and I love it. And it's really fun. But it's like we used to use fog in a can for a while, which we still do sometimes. Smells like Pam. Just be forewarned. It's like you're breathing in Pam. But then we got a fog machine for Lavender Town when I covered Lavender Town. I really wanted some spooky situation, okay? And it's so fun. I think we just got one from Guitar Center, just a basic one from Guitar Center, and it was called Fog Juice. No,
that's what we put in it.
It was Thick Mist.
That's what the jug is that we put in it.
It was called Thick Mist with a Y. But anyway, I'm calling it atmosphere, just for the sake of creating another element within your scene that is actually there. I'm a big fan of practical effects. A lot of what we do is practical in camera. And it's more just that's the way I prefer things to look. No bashing against people who do VFX, Peter included. I just really like practical elements within a video. I think it brings a lot to it altogether.
Yeah, and atmosphere is also what, like, if you put all that mist in the air and stuff, that's actually how you see light beams. Like, if you ever wondered how they do that in film, like, they have some kind of even atmosphere in the air.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those light beams aren't going to show up on camera magically like I thought they would.
Peter went to film school, so we know a lot of these things from that. Full disclosure. Okay, so I thought I'd walk you through our process. So the first step is making the song, and it's crying a lot, but musically. So not to diminish that, it's not important to this video, but I make the song, it's in a good place, we decide we're gonna film.
Yep, and then we choose what kind of lighting we want. A lot of times we'll just go with like a simple, like choosing a certain color or theme. And then having like a nice main light source and location. Normally the location is my garage in front of some photo paper, but that location has worked out well for us. But we've also done some fun ones where we've filmed outside, and then we start filming. We choose our different shots. We always try to get at least like 8 shots for Lacey. That seems to be kind of like the good
It's a sweet
spot as far as like getting enough instrument coverage, but then also not getting too much coverage, because then you just have so much that you don't even know what to do with it.
And it makes you real tired.
Yeah,
To shoot, like,
you're looking
8
at
or 9
too many
times in a row.
things at that point. So definitely get a lot of coverage, but don't overshoot, because
Yeah.
then you're just making more work for yourself in the end.
Yeah. So then the next phase is editing. I've taken over a lot of the editing process recently. We run the Adobe suite, so I'm using Adobe Premiere, After Effects sometimes if we have stuff that has visual effects in it. I use a multicam editing style process.
Yeah, you use the multicam editing function.
I don't know what you call that. I just use multicam.
You use multicam, which is in Premiere as well as DaVinci and Final Cut Pro. Like most of like the established editing softwares have like a multicam functionality.
Can you
built
explain
into
that in
it.
like a tiny crash course just for anyone who doesn't know?
Yeah,
what
so
that is?
basically a multicam is when you sync all of your footage based on audio. So that way, since it's a song, it's very easy. So it lines up all the shots you've done based on the audio, so they're all in sync, and then it'll display in a window on your screen in a bunch of little boxes. So that way you can see all the shots at once, and you can just click on each of the boxes to make your cuts between them.
It works for me.
It's really good for editing music videos.
I think Ro did a good tutorial on that on his YouTube channel. There's a lot of them out there, but it's very available. It doesn't take too much of the computer to do, which is nice.
Yeah. Though if you are doing it, make sure you create proxies for the videos, which are lower resolution files of the videos, because if it's trying to display 4K or 1080p 8 different times, it struggles and dies. So just make sure to create some proxies, which you can do in any of the editing softwares, just so your computer doesn't crash.
Yes, and then the biggest tip we have, because we see people do this all the time and it's very avoidable, watch your video back when it's done. Software messes up a lot. Things can go wrong really quickly. And if you don't watch it back, you'll have no idea if frames didn't export, because that happens a lot. Or some color sometimes gets messed up.
Yeah, or you might accidentally, hide a layer and then forget to turn that layer back on, and then suddenly there's some black footage in your video. So always watch back your video. Even if you don't want to, watch it back at 1.5 speed or something.
Yeah, just to make sure that there's no gaps. And then after that,
and then make a thumbnail. I know a lot of times people will just grab screenshots from their videos and stuff like that, but we're of the philosophy of always take a picture. No matter what high-end frame rate you're filming at, you'll be scrubbing through all of it and be like, why do I look stupid in every shot? And all the shots where I look nice and pretty, I'm blurry and out of focus. So always take a dedicated photo and then edit it in some kind of software, whether it's Canva or Photoshop.
Yeah. And then you post it and you have a video. Wow. It's amazing.
We did it.
Yeah. That's a very simplified view, obviously, but it is that simple, right? You make the song, you shoot the thing, you edit the thing, you double check and watch the thing, you make a thumbnail for it, and you post it, okay? So to get down to the nitty gritty, our rig, okay, and I want to be so clear, this is a professional level rig that we have invested in for 7 years, okay? So we're running the Sony a7S III mirrorless camera. We have the FE 35mm f1.8 lens, which means the f-stop is 1.8, so it's a really nice shallow depth of field, so you have a really good blur effect to the lens. We're using the Amaran 200D, which is a beautiful light. I love this light so much. It has been one of my favorite investments we've made of the last few years.
Yeah, and we didn't include that on there, but in conjunction with the Aperture Light Dome 3, which is a big-ass softbox.
It's going to say, I think it is about that big, actually.
That helps disperse the light and make it look nice and even.
Yeah, I love that light, though. I've also just gotten another Amaran and Aperture for my streaming setup, and I love their lights. I wish I were sponsored in some way, maybe sometime, but it's just, they're a company, they know what they're doing. I really can't say nicer things about Amaran and Aperture. Really, they're great. We are using the Nanlite Pavo Tube RGBs, so I use a lot of RGB. I'm a gamer, so I like
tubes.
The tubes. So I like having RGB in my shots. I think it adds a lot of interest. So we usually hang one above me sometimes, and it's hang on the joist in the ceiling, and then we'll have one kind of off to the side, creating a little bit of a rim of light around me or my instrument, depending on what I'm doing. Love those lights. There's a lot of things like them, but that's what we're using on that. We have Savage photo paper. That's the brand. And then this guy, my MacBook, and then the Adobe Creative Suite. Okay. And we thought it would make sense to show you kind of what our videos look like with those things. So keeping that in mind, you can see the light above me, right? We have light to my side lighting up my right arm.
Come on, sailors,
water effects over the video that we added later.
Just like a slight startle effect. And that was just done in like After Effects. You can get away with a lot of stuff. Oh, I was saying that the subtle lighting effect, that was using stock footage as opposed to like using like an animated effect. There's a lot you can do just with like stock footage of like, you know, making water more transparent over the top.
This is a cool lens we used too. That makes my fingers look like giant. It was a really wide angle lens, and basically the closer you get to it, the more it just distorts. So I wanted something a little creepy, and that was the creative approach there. We don't have to watch the whole thing. I just wanted to kind of demonstrate. I've heard this a lot. But yeah, that's kind of, no, stop that. No, not again. No. All right.
Again.
We're going to walk you through some builds. So the first build is a smartphone build. Say you just have a phone. I should say you have a phone and you want to work with that, right? So we wanted to come up with a few different solutions for some ideas. If you just want to get started and you can use pretty much everything you have. And then if you want to make some investments, you can do that too. So working with a smartphone, we mentioned we started on a lighting photography kit that we got on Amazon, and we did a little homework for y'all. So looks like that, just kind of two soft boxes on some stands. They come with bulbs. They come with the boxes themselves. Those range anywhere from about $65 to $100, $120 if you find one that's $120. I don't know, but they do fine. And Peter, would you like to explain how you would use this lighting setup for a single subject?
Yeah, so normally the way we do our lighting, normally they teach 3-point lighting, but a lot of times we don't go with that. But in 3-point lighting, you have your main light, so choose which side of the face you like more, put your main light on that side. And then you have your fill light on the other side, which is normally a little bit weaker, so it just fills in a little bit of those shadows on the other side. And then you have a rim light or backlight, which can give you that like nice like hair glow behind you. A lot of times on our videos, we just forego the fill light. We have our main light, and then we have some kind of rim lighting. The garage we film in does have like an all-white wall on the left, so that kind of bounces some of the light back from the main light into her.
Creative,
so
really.
So we don't really need that fill light, but so one way you could go about using these two would be have one light be your main light and one light be your fill light, or have one light be your main light on one side of the subject and the other light have it pointed at the background, so that way it gets rid of any shadows on the walls and stuff that can be distracting.
We'll talk about that in the tips and tricks as well, because that's a very, learning how to light a scene is an art within itself, but there's a lot to that, creating good separation. Cool. So then a tripod, any sort of smartphone tripod, they range $15 to $30. Software, DaVinci Resolve, as we spoke, it's super powerful, capable program. It's free. Blackmagic Cam, which is on iPhone only.
No, it's
on both now?
It's now on both.
Okay.
So there's an app called Blackmagic Cam. It's on both Android and iPhone. And it is for recording video, and it basically tries to mimic what like a Blackmagic camera interface is. So you can actually on your phone like select like ISO, and you can select if your phone has like multiple lenses, like which lens you want to use.
Super capable.
And you can adjust exposure, contrast. Like it has a lot of the things in the menus that a typical DSLR film camera would have, and so I'd highly recommend downloading it because
it's free.
It's a free app.
Yep.
So
it's cool.
If you want to start filming on your phone, I definitely recommend that app.
And you filmed some of my set at MAGFest on that too. Actually.
Yeah, I've loved that app. I've been using it recently at some of Lacey's shows, so I don't have to lug around our expensive DSLR everywhere. I can just be like, oh, I'll just use my phone for this one and get like a couple clips. So definitely recommend that.
Yep. And then Canva is a great free software for thumbnails. Obviously, if you have access to Photoshop or something equivalent, MS Paint, I don't know, you can do a lot, right? And then some sort of playback device, anything that you have to play that audio back.
Yeah. We've even just played back audio from her phone before and
many times
and put that next to the camera, so that way the camera is picking up the audio.
Yeah.
So you
and
can
it's
get
enough.
creative.
Yeah, it's enough. Cool.
And yeah, so now getting into like more of like a entry level build, like you've kind of like graduated from the camera and you want to up your game a little bit. You could get something. Sorry, I'm just having trouble seeing your laptop. Could you tilt it a little?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, you could upgrade your lighting. You could get like a nice dedicated light. Like the way we did it, we used like just Amazon lights for a long time. Then like one of our first upgrades was getting a nicer light, and so you could just focus on getting a nicer like main light, you know, and still use like the cheap stuff for like your backing or fill and stuff.
Yeah.
So like the Amaran 60DS is a good one.
This is what I'm using on my stream setup right now.
Yeah. That in combination with the Aperture Light Dome, which is like a little light dome.
Little guy, this big.
But it's quite nice. There's like GVM RGB panels, which are like just little panels that you could get to like start adding some fun RGBs and getting a little bit more creative. Those are about like $200, but we have some of those. And then as far as like a camera goes, there's the Sony A5100, which is a nice little DSLR. It does have an interchangeable lens, so you could like get like a nice lens. Runs about $350, and that's what Lacey actually uses for her live streams camera and stuff. Yeah. So that can kind of give you like a sense of how it looks.
It's like this big, super easy. You throw it in any bag, no problem. Which is cool.
You could upgrade your tripod. We just threw on here a Benro tripod that
I think this is the one I use at home.
You use for streaming. I also have Benro. They're a little bit cheaper than Manfrotto's, and like we still like use our Benro tripods. Yeah, we want to upgrade our tripod. We're still in this category when it comes to tripods. Well, that's the one thing that I like, don't want to buy. Yeah, and then you could like upgrade to like maybe the paid version of DaVinci Resolve, which is only $300 for the paid version. It's not like a subscription fee. It's like a one-time flat fee. So that's definitely more affordable than like Premiere and some of these other programs that are like a $50 monthly fee or whatever. Yeah. And Photoshop is great for thumbnails, but you can still use Canva. Some kind of dedicated editing software for photos is like a nice to have. Yeah. And then you could buy some photo paper. They range anywhere from like $35 to like $100, depending on like how nice a quality you go.
And the size that you're looking for.
Yeah, the size definitely
they're about that big. That's about
comes into account, as well as like how much paper is on a roll. Yeah. You know, because a lot of the nicer ones, they give you a ton of paper, so anytime it gets crinkled or whatever, you can just like rip it off and you have more paper.
Yay! And then the spiders live in it.
Yeah.
Don't ask me about that.
They get everywhere.
They do. Okay, so then the next level that we have is the professional level build. So this is, again, full transparency. This is where we're at, and some things that we would like to upgrade within our rig too. So it's expensive, okay? This is this is the thing, like when you invest a certain amount, after a bunch of time, and the two of us, we've been into filmmaking for years, so it's like it's more than just YouTube that we're using this camera. We're doing it for live footage. We do it commercially. There's a lot of stuff that we use this for. Anyway, so like I said, I will yap all day about Aperture and Amaran. I just think they're great companies. So we've got the Aperture LS 600D. This is what we want to upgrade to, right? This is what we talked about.
Yeah,
the light that we want to do.
Like a step up.
Yeah. So what is the difference between this light and the one that we have now?
This one's more powerful, and it has a full range of color temperature control.
Oh, okay.
The one that we have is set at a certain color temperature.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's like just set to 5600.
Yeah. Like this is just me genuinely asking.
And this one's 4 times as bright.
So
it can get
Jesus,
even brighter,
why? It's so
and
bright.
you can fully control the color temperature of the light.
Wow, great. My eyes will not be happy about that. All right, and then the Light Dome 3, which is what we have.
Which is what we have.
That's a great light
great
dome.
Softbox.
Great size. Any bigger and you'd need a full airplane hangar. And then this is the light we want to get because it's another, again, RGB.
We just like RGBs.
I just like RGB lights, okay? I want to have millions of them.
We're heckin' gamers,
Gamers all day, okay? All day. So yeah, this one's just a normal kind of can like I have, right? But it's RGB.
Yeah, it's basically it's like it's almost as powerful as the 200D that we have in terms of brightness. Like all those numbers are basically like an equivalent wattage, even though it like no longer runs off of watts, kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's
Gotcha.
like almost as bright as the one we have, but it's like full RGB color, which
Cool.
would be nice to have.
Cool. And then, we have the A7S III. That is just the body cost, by the way. That is not for a lens. It hurt so bad to buy this thing. The lens that we have was $750. The small rig cage that we use, which mounts the camera, and if you have accessories like monitors, microphones, things like that, that's what that is. And then the Ninja monitor, which is what we use sometimes, not very much. We should get back into using.
Yeah, it's a little bit heavy. And
heavy.
like we said, the next thing is a tripod. We need to upgrade our tripod. This would be a nice one to upgrade to if you want to start building out a rig and getting a cage and like a monitor and all that kind of stuff. Start investing in a better tripod because that gets heavy quickly.
Yeah, that's true. And then the photo paper.
And then lastly, the photo
paper.
paper. Savage is kind of like the industry brand standard as far as photography goes, as well as we obviously use it for video. It's a little bit more pricey. It runs between $60 to $200. If there's like a camera store near you, like I suggest going and buying it from there because just with the size and the weight of it, it can cost like $50 to ship.
The box was this long.
Yeah,
well,
it's 9 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah,
It's
super long.
Chonky. So Peter, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you could build the ultimate camera rig where no budget is on the line, don't ask because I know what you're going to say. What would that look like?
Well, I think there's a slide for that.
Okay.
So
everyone laugh at Peter. Laugh at Peter.
So this is really just an example that
dream big.
Filming is insane, and no matter what you buy, there are always bigger, better, more expensive things. And honestly, it might not matter in the end.
Diminishing returns.
Yeah,
really.
it really is diminishing returns. Like you can get like a $6,000 light or a $7,000 pack of 8 tube lights.
I want those though.
Or you can get a $10,000 camera body. There are ones that are much more than $10,000 where they don't even list the price on the website.
Yeah.
You know?
There is. You have to be a special member of B&H, which is like a photo company, to like even see the price. They won't just sell it to you. And do you see this?
Yeah.
6 lenses. $26,000.
Yeah, it's a steal. That's only like that's only like 4,000 something a lens, for some cinema quality lenses. And yeah, you can get like a $3,000 tripod with a fluid head that's like high tech or something, and you can start getting all the different software subscriptions that cost you like $1,200 a year. So, needless to say,
money's not real.
It's all excessive. No matter what you
Give me
buy,
your credit
there's
card.
always going to be something bigger and nicer out there. But like you said, might be diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So we'll punch through these ones.
Yeah.
Because I think being direct with nice tips and tricks is definitely key here, and we want to be sure we have time for any questions y'all have. So
Yeah.
lighting is super key. Creating separation between your subject and your background matters more than you think. It can make a video look extraordinarily professional with a phone, with whatever you're using. If you know how to light a scene, it shows. Usually, like Peter said, we have a really nice dedicated light for the background. It creates a nice solid color, and then you, the subject, or your bandmate or whoever that is the subject of your scene is lit as well. Something about it, it's just very visually appealing.
Yeah, I mean, it creates separation and focus. I mean, it's something we don't think about, but if you like watch like any like, I don't know, like TV show, things like that, or news and stuff, like you never see shadows on the wall behind them. That's not how real life is like, but that's how we've gotten trained that how like professional things look like. So
well, and you're training your viewer too, because you want
you want
your
the focus
viewer
on
to
your
unconsciously think about what they should be looking at. And that there is something to it. That's what focus is really important for, and that's what lighting is really important for. So if you can light the thing that you really want people to see, like if you're ripping an awesome solo, but like your hands are dark, it's like, oh, wow, the body of the guitar looks so great. I wish I could see what you were playing. So it's important for establishing kind of what your subject is within the scene.
Yeah. And I think we kind of already went
we got
over
multiple angles. Shoot
shooting
many
from
things.
multiple angles.
Go
and
for
multicam editing function. So I
wide
think we
shots,
could
close-ups, fun shots. There's some where I literally just run around in circles and just to see what sticks. But it's important. Energy is really important. So having a lot of different options is great. Really good.
Yeah, and if you got the take from a certain angle, don't do a second take from that angle. Mix up the angle, move the camera around, and then do another take.
Yeah.
You know.
Coverage.
Yeah.
You talk about frame rates because I don't know anything about
Oh, yeah. So there's always debate about like what kind of frame rate to use. And if you watch like any YouTube tutorial, like everyone has gone to film school, and so they'll just talk about like 24 frames per second because that's how to make something look cinematic and beautiful. But what they often forget or don't talk about is that like live broadcasts, television, sports, all that kind of thing, that's going to be in 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second.
Sometimes 120.
Sometimes 120, especially like how do you think they get all their slow-mo shots in like football and everything? So we actually like to shoot in 60 frames per second. I know it's not popular, but we like it because we feel like it gives you that kind of like live energy or almost concert feel. So we like higher frame rates. Not everyone does. If you want to make it look super cinematic and like you have like a look and mood and lighting and style, then maybe go with 24. But if all you care about is energy, then maybe film at a higher frame rate or like 30 frames per second.
But something we also do, so we do shoot in 60, but we downscale in the final.
We export it at a lower frame rate. So we'll export it at 30 or 24 just because YouTube hates 4K video at 60 frames per second.
Yeah, it really hates it. Don't do that.
It's awful. So if you do film in 60, I'd recommend like exporting in 30 frames per second or 24.
Yeah.
Just because, YouTube will hate your videos. And
it looks
we
nice.
like the look of it.
Yeah. I just have preferred it in the past. And then references. Use references.
Yeah.
If there's lighting styles you like, or if there's people who you admire in the scene who you like the look of their videos, check what you're doing. See if you can match what they do. It teaches you to kind of get a little more diverse in how you light something.
Yeah.
Or how you frame something. I am constantly inspired by my friends. I ask my friends all the time, what do they do? What kind of, lights are they using? What kind of VFX are they using? Like, I love to ask and compare just from the point of like, oh, wow, I never would have thought to do that. So it's very important to check out different references or find filmmakers you admire or directors you admire or whatever, and kind of take note of what they're doing and see if you can replicate that kind of idea. It's a simple thing, but it's true. Use them. We do it in music all the time, having mix references or mastering references. So it's the same kind of application, but for video.
Tips and tricks for animations. So like if you're going to add some animated elements and things like that, I would recommend making some kind of looping animation. So an animation that can repeat. So like the actual animated part is only like maybe like 5 to 10 seconds long. Like you don't want it too long, just because that's a lot of processing power on your PC when you're going to render something out. Like if you make like an animated thing that's supposed to be go on a green screen, go behind things, and like it's having to like do all those calculations all the time, that's taxing. So I'd recommend making loops, and then you could even put those loops into a timeline and then export one long video from that, but don't try to export one long animated thing that's like 4 minutes long. Like export out like maybe like a 10-second thing, and then put all those 10-second things in a timeline back to back to back to get you to that 4 minutes, and then export it out. Your computer will be much more happy with you, and it won't take hours. It'll take like more like minutes or something like that.
Dress to impress. So listen to me, okay? When you're shooting a video, okay, don't put on your wrinkly shirt on camera. Put a little more, I guess. I can make jokes all day long, obviously. Shots fired. But it's more so be intentional. Think about what you're doing. Think about the presentation and the act, the story. I love when people do videos in cosplay. I love when I see people make videos like not a costume directly, but if they're doing something that's like a game that's themed around like Yakuza, and then they're dressed in an awesome suit or like something really stylish, you're thinking and you're involving the viewer in the story that you're telling within your video. And I think it matters a lot more than a lot of us think about. If you're doing something that's maybe a playthrough in your studio, okay, right? You can look however you need to that reflects your vision, etc. If you're making a music video, be intentional with it. Think about the image itself. Don't wear something super distracting that takes the focus away from the playing, right? I think there's a lot of ways to incorporate simple wardrobe even into a video to really up the presentation level. It goes so far, and it's something I want us to dress nicely, guys. Come on, like we gotta put our best foot forward if we're presenting ourselves in our art. You know, I think it's not too tough to do, and I think if you really put that forward and create a look, it can create like a brand identity for you as an artist too. It goes farther than just a video.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, you spend all these hours like setting up like the perfect shot and thinking about the composition and the lighting and the theme or whatnot, but then you have to remember you're part of that composition and theme. So make your subject look good. It can look however it needs to, really, but make your subject look good. You matter in the video just as much as the rest of it. Okay. Come closer. Okay. Hard truths. Investing does not make it a better video. Learning the techniques and refining and having good ideas makes it a good video. So a lot of the time, sometimes throwaway ideas that are just like, wouldn't it be funny if I did, oh God, what was one of the ones that I was just like, no one's going to watch this video. Well, I think that's in the next category.
Oh, never mind. So buying nice gear doesn't mean
you buy a nicer light
well.
Doesn't mean your video is going to look nicer unless you know how to use that light. It's all about the technique and knowing how to use things that really make a shot better.
Yeah.
And just because you have a camera that shoots in log doesn't mean that you need to shoot in log if you don't know how to color correct for log.
Yeah.
It's not going to automatically make the image look like it costs $4,000, even if that's what your camera costs.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's all about technique. More money does not equal better video.
Yeah. Okay. So do over. So when More effort does not equal more views. So a lot of the time, there's a lot of videos that you could put so many hours, so much thought and money and time and effort into, and you're like, this is going to be the greatest thing I've ever made, and then nobody watches it, right? It happens. It happens to all of us. It's not an individual experience.
Go watch our Mandalorian video. I think
yes, please go watch our Mandalorian video, please.
Poorest performing videos on our channel.
One of my favorite videos.
We drove out to the desert. We had a great time filming it. It looks
Grogu
super
makes
good.
an appearance in the video.
He does.
Himself. Yeah, it's all about just making what you like, honestly. And I've said this in a lot of panels before. I would create based on what you are very passionate about, because it's a long process. Recording is a long process. Filming, editing, it's a lot to do. And I think, honestly, if you feel really good about what you're doing and you are constantly improving and constantly dedicating yourself to bettering your craft within itself and refining your ideas, making everything kind of flow, the numbers will follow. The more you can easily create and make that process just a lot shorter for yourself, it becomes so much easier to produce things like that. And then it's not one video every 6 months or one video every 5 years. You know, you can create in a much easier cadence for yourself. And yes, please go watch our Mandalorian video, because I loved it so much. It was great.
And yeah, for TikTok, it should actually look low effort. It should look like you film in your room. So throw away all the things we've said. Maybe keep some of them, but like if you put a like highly produced, like any of like the edits we've tried to do from like the videos we've made on Lacey's music video channel, those get no views, but her playing along to a phone, that gets all the views. So these things don't apply to TikTok.
Yeah, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Not heckling remarks, but any questions that they would like answered. Who has a question? Ask, please.
Any question?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your question?
Just about the color temperature. I've not heard of that before.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. So color temperature, so like if you look at this light in the center of the room, don't look too closely at it, but you see how it has like a slight yellow tint to it? So that is the color's temperature. So it varies from being super warm. So like think of like almost like orangish, you know, like say you go to like a I don't know, like a little hole in the wall bar, cocktail bar or something. They have that kind of orange lighting. And then on the other end of the spectrum is blue light, which is a much higher color temperature, which is what you think of as like the sun. Like the sun is kind of like the brightest color temperature. And so as far as like on an actual light for filming somebody, that can really change how warm a shot is or how cool a shot is, if you can adjust it, or it can be handy. And more of like the main use for it is like, say we were like filming in here, I wouldn't want to be using like a super blue light, because I'd kind of want to match the color temperature that's already existing in the room, so it creates like more of like a cohesive look when you're editing it later.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I have a Sony Alpha 6700, but what E-mount lens would you recommend? It's pretty versatile.
I mean, honestly, for me, for our very specific situation, we typically use a 35 millimeter to film all of our videos, just because of our space and we like how it looks.
It looks nice, yeah.
But there is, we also have a 24 to 70 millimeter 2.8 Sigma lens, which is nice. Yeah, it's made by Sigma, so it's more affordable than like a Sony lens. And that one we've found to be really good, especially like when we had the second camera, we would use that for like some handheld shots, and I could kind of do some like push-pull, like zoom-in stuff with it. But with it being like that constant 2.8, It just looks nice at like any focal length. So
I think
I'd recommend that one.
Pizza Time was shot on that lens.
Yeah, Pizza Time was shot on that lens. If you want to check
you want
that
to see
out.
that situation.
Yeah, I definitely didn't borrow that from a friend and still haven't returned it. So
what? He doesn't know.
it's a good
He
lens.
forgot.
I don't want to give it back.
He moved to Fuji. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you can record like a TikTok video from inside the club bathroom or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're trying to cross-plat like promote,
Yeah.
you do different things.
Yes. Yeah, I would say, and I wish I could tell you the end-all answer for this because it's constantly changing, right? But I would say a lot of the time, so YouTube has the full frame situation. Instagram, I'll make a vertical edit and I'll use tools within Premiere to do auto reframe. CapCut has that too, by the way. But it basically just analyzes where the subject is and tracks it, so it keeps on the frame. So I create a vertical version of maybe a 30-second clip just to go get people to watch on YouTube. But if I were wanting to do something kind of individual, you have to create for the platform. So I will even, and I'm trying to, this is part of our social marketing strategy that I'm working on, but I'm going to start playing along or singing along to recordings and things and saying, you want to go see like a full music video, go to my blah, right? Because it's all about conversion a lot of the time. And I know we all hate business words, but I'm a business person. So it's like, you want to have converting clicks into support, right? Whatever that looks like, subscribers, followers, patrons, email list, whatever your goal is for that. A lot of the time you want to grab people's attention to bring them to where the rest of the catalog is. So whatever that looks like, with TikTok, it's kind of weirdly, like we said, the thing that's been popping off for me on there has just been playing along to my own stuff. And I don't know why. And not plugged in, there's no interface. It's literally capturing audio from my microphone of my phone from my studio monitors, and it's that crappy sound that it's just, the audience is like, yes, this is the way for me, and I don't know why. It's I wish I could explain it, because I'm like, I put so much effort into these videos and they just don't go anywhere. So the low effort, I think, translates to authenticity, and people enjoy seeing literally just me doing this thing. Like, I had a video pop off on TikTok where I played along to Through the Fire and the Flames from Dragon Force, and then Herman Lee reacted to me, which was awesome. But yes, but it was just like, it's so great because TikTok is this ongoing animal of interaction, and I think Instagram, to a degree, is this way, but it's not to the same level, because it's a feral audience on TikTok. So people constantly want to be like, bet you can't play this, and then you can create this conversation with duets and responses. So it's an interesting ongoing kind of conversation with my audience on there, because, and I want to get back into it. It's such a responsive, like I said, feral audience. Like if I played some of the Mega Man stuff on there and they're like, oh my God, I bet you've never done Street Fighter. And it's like, boy, do I have a surprise for you. Then it's like, you know, you can kind of create this like jumping off point to bring more people in. So it's almost more, I do approach platforms as marketing in my mind. But yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I have a creative question.
Sure.
So, with your videos, they're mainly playthrough videos.
Yeah.
There's this vibe that they're also kind of music videos. They're like
Yeah.
they're high produced, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you're making the videos, do you storyboard what you're thinking of how you want certain shots to look, what kind of shots you're going to use? And if so or if not, like, how do you leverage those decisions in the creative process into the filmography, into the editing process? Like or do you find that those decisions adversely affect your ability to do editing, or do they help you? And I'm just interested to hear.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both, because I would say sometimes I have a vision for a video before we even shoot it, before I even record it. Sometimes, like the Hades stuff, I was just like, I need to do this now. Like, I know exactly what I want. I want to do, like, Gwen Stefani is under the water and she's doing Skillet and the Sirens, right? I was just like, I need to do this now. It was a compulsion, and I knew I wanted it to just have this edgy feel and be a little creepy, like I said, like with some of my creative shots. And that was his idea, actually, to bring in the wide lens to make like the weird effects that we were going for.
More, yeah, I'd say more, even just based on what you're saying and like what we do and stuff. More, it's based on feel.
Yeah.
We don't storyboard out anything.
We have, though, before. Some of our videos we have.
A long time ago. I wouldn't say it's a good example.
Not the nowadays.
But yeah, it's all about feel and a conversation. And since it's the two of us filming, a lot of it is like bouncing off ideas off of each other, like, oh, I think it'd be cool if we did this, and then like that might spark some inspiration of like, oh, and it'd be cool if we like added this. So like it's kind of like a conversation between the two of us.
Definitely.
And we definitely start with a source of inspiration, but it's a lot of like impromptu, like, hey, why don't we try this?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I sometimes too, I watch music videos all the time, and so does he. And so like the two of us are so inspired by what's going on currently in the music industry, what some people are doing. Billie Eilish is doing a lot of weird stuff, and so I'm very inspired by that. A lot of the time too, I remember specifically Devil Trigger is a great example. I was very inspired by the Panic at the Disco video. What song was that?
Yeah.
Where's the devil?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know. I can hear it. I just don't know the name. Regardless, so he in the video was very like jerky and creepy, but his lips were still matched perfectly in time. And I was like, Peter, how?
You have to slow down the song, so you slow it down to 50%, and so you
sing to it in slow motion,
and then speed it up, and so then your motions are very.
The video from MAGWest for the song "Typical."
No, but I will. Okay, for sure.
They learned the whole band learned all of the parts of their song backwards.
Oh God.
Filmed the whole song backwards.
Oh yeah.
Audio scores,
No.
the song backwards before it's crazy.
Oh, that sounds so difficult. My goodness. Yeah, but it's like sometimes, just media that I'm consuming and I'm like, I want to do a shot that looks like this, and that'll be even just the diving board for everything else that we're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes, I'm not going to say any names or anything. People are great, and I love all people. But sometimes I'll see, I'll see somebody else do a video, and I'll be thinking in my head, I can do that better, and that will be an inspiration. So
stay petty is the final thing here. All right, we're gonna close, y'all, because we're out of time, and I got to go perform with Byscore. So. At the end of the day, this should be a fun, creative process. It can always transform into many things, and it has for us. I will tell you, we work commercially with game companies and developers, and it's gotten me work outside of YouTube and making videos too. So at the end of the day, enjoy the process. Become good at making and creating these things that just show your art in a visual way. And it can lead somewhere. If you're really into what you're doing, people can tell that too. Your audience can definitely feel your perception of what you're doing. If you look bored to tears, it will come across, But
yeah. Have fun, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.